Alright, welcome to round 12 of the FRL Division 1 Championship. Here we are in the good old US of A for what's going to be shaping out to be an exciting race. Taking pole position is going to be Wolfer with Max joining him on the front row, followed up by Sugi, Sketchy, Ghostly, and Prid. Honestly, this top 6 is looking pretty good, and even then we still have Wolfdang, Henny, Envy, and Yeti rounding out the top 10. This race is going to be shaping up to be really exciting, but looking at the strategy, it's pretty standard for the most part. Everybody from 1st to 16th has gone on the medium tires, with a couple exceptions in the back. Faceburger going on the soft tires for a really aggressive strategy, and Zip and Geo starting in the back, going for a more conservative one. So, one important thing about this race is the run up to turn 1. Turn 1 is a very long run, and it's a very wide turn, meaning you can stick multiple cars alongside. Now, I've seen some try 3, 4, 5, once even 6 wide. Now, typically, it goes one of two ways. Either it goes perfectly and everybody just manages to file back in, there's no problems, or it just completely collapses into utter chaos. It's usually the latter, but hopefully if this does happen, we will see the former. It looks like Rogue was disqualified, probably messed up on his grid starting slot, as well as Zipman. The two Alfa Romeo is having a little bit of a hard time, as well as the AlphaTauri of Kermit. But everybody is here, so it's time for the 5 red lights to come on here at the Circuit of the Americas. And it is lights out and away we go. Wolfer makes a good away, but there's already a collision off the start. We already have 3 wide, but immediately Ghostly jumps into the lead. That's Sugi bumping into the back of Wolfer. Wolfer going wheel to wheel with Max. The two Alpines trying to vie for 1st and 2nd place. Max still trying to keep alongside, but he's going to have to back out going to the yes section. But it looks like that is a car completely going off the track. That is Sketchy Bull, who completely veered off. He's going to have to rejoin, slotted in behind everybody else. Meanwhile, we have everybody just running through, trying to get a hold of a position here or there. Yeti maybe looking to get away past Sugi, but at the moment is stuck. And he had a pretty solid start. He's up into 7th place and is looking to perhaps make another move. Breaks very late, nearly into the back of Yeti, but manages to save it. Phase had a brilliant start, already up to P12, and that is Rogue, who looks like he had a little bit of a problem going through there. Someone else, I think, went onto the grass, which is why there's dust all over. But meanwhile, we have Zip, Taylor, Boss, Sketchy, Bull all battling it out here. Going into the next turn. Are they actually about to attempt 3 wide here? They are about to attempt 3 wide. Okay, Zip just can't find a way through at the moment. But Sugi found a way to keep Kermit. Well, no, never mind. Kermit found a way to get past Sugi. But Sugi's still looking for a chance to fight it back. Kermit completely cuts him off though, but Sugi takes the chance to cut back on the inside. Manages to overtake. Kermit looking to fight it back on the outside this time. Going into the next turn, the two keep alongside. What was that? That was Envy, who I think... Did someone send it completely off into the wall, or was it just me? So he goes into the pits. I'm actually confused. I think I saw a car just fly off in the corner of my field of view. But maybe that was nothing and I'm just losing my mind. That could very well be possible. Anyways, catching up with the top 4. They've pulled a pretty good gap, and Brett is doing well to keep up the pace with the top 3, who have also been performing really well this season. At the moment, Ghostly's leading. Wolfer stuck in an Alpine sandwich at the moment. And unfortunately, I think it's going to stay that way for a little bit, because we still don't have DRS enabled until lap 3. Oh, but Wolver's not going to settle for second for long. Look at the straight line speed he's got. He rockets ahead of Ghostly to retake the lead. That was a fantastic move. But he's still got Ghostly right on his heels. He can't afford to get complacent. Ghostly's not going to give him that chance. If Wolver makes even the slightest mistake, Ghostly is going to capitalize on it, and Ghostly's certainly going to capitalize on the DRS that he's going to get going into the next lap, should he keep in range. Meanwhile, that is FaZe Burger completely spinning out and losing it. All that work he made, oh, and that's Kermit spinning out as well. Driver's really struggling for traction around here. Oh, and it looks like Envy got caught out as well. And he's now attempting to rejoin. With the track a little bit more clear, he's going to make his way back out. Meanwhile, the top 4 has now turned into the top 6. Yeti and Henny doing well to start closing the gap now. We could now potentially have a 6-way fight for the lead. Yeti's putting in a lot of good pace. I mean, again, like, look at that. 2nd through 5th are all Alpine Division 1 and 2 drivers. It just shows how strong this team is. But Ghostly, he's struggling to even keep it in range with Wolfer. He's barely within DRS distance, and soon he's going to have to fight 3 of his teammates. In technicality, though, Fred and Yeti, they will still be racing as if they were a Ferrari and Haas driver, respectively. And that's Pink getting overtaken by Welting. Welting is going to get a hold of 7th, and Pink is going to have to look for a way to get back ahead of him. Now, Pink, who absolutely struggled in qualifying, he started, I think, P16. He's already up 8 places. So this is already an improvement. Meanwhile, Ghostly has just lost that DRS distance, and that's going to hurt him a whole lot, especially since his teammates are going to be coming up fast behind. The other factor that is important here, but it's a little less talked about sometimes, is track limits, which can pose a problem because it's very easy to rack up track limit penalties, especially through this S section that Ghostly's about to make his way through. It's very important to be careful through here because, again, you go too wide and you mess up your turn, or you could get a track limit penalty as well. Meanwhile, Pink is doing well to keep in pace with Welting, and he can very well have a chance to get past him here in a moment. You can see he's already getting a pretty solid run, but he's got that rear wing of DRS open for him now, and it's going to make a huge difference. Will it be enough to potentially challenge for 7th place? No, it won't. But Max certainly did enough work to get ahead of his teammate up into 2nd. Now, it could have been team orders being applied. I wasn't able to see what happened there. But it looks like Ghostly may even be trying to fight it back here, but Max is not about to let that one happen. And here we go, in the run-up to turn 1, is Ghostly going to try to fight his teammate here, or is he just going to remain behind? Doesn't look like he's going to be attempting a move, but Gio certainly attempted a move on Slayer and succeeded. Well, actually, it wasn't really a move, because Slayer, I think, spun out. And that's Kermit and Envy making their way past as well. Meanwhile, Max is doing everything he can to potentially claw back time and get back in range of the McLaren of Wolfer. And he's certainly putting in a good effort. He's taking a little bit of time, but still, Wolfer is essentially matching him. And now Britt has DRS on his teammate, but his teammate doesn't have DRS on Ghostly. He's just outside of range. That's going to allow Britt to close the gap. Annie, though, is going to be getting close as well and potentially could join in on this fight. It's the Yellow Flag in Sector 2. FaZe Burr is out of the race. I have no idea what happened, but it's going to trigger a safety car. Now, this could be interesting to see how tire strategies will play out. Will some try to risk it and maybe make their one stop on hard tires now? Typically, this early in, I would not want to make a strategy that risky. And it looks like most of the field is agreeing with me right now. Nobody's gone into the pits just yet, despite, again, a free opportunity here. Oh, looks like we have Zip going in. Looks like he wants to exchange those hard tires for something a little bit more facey. Going in, what is the tire choice? It looks like the team is prepping a set of soft tires. I was kind of questioning whether there would be soft or mediums, but it looks like he's going for a really aggressive strategy here. I think Kermit is prepping the same thing. Either that, or he's going for a set of hard tires to go on until the end. But looks like his team is preparing a set of hard tires. Yep, and looks like his game plan at this point is to try to make it to the end on this set. Or at the very least, hope for a late safety car and go on a set of softs or back on those mediums, maybe. Well, actually, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. Probably just back on a set of softs instead. Well, as long as we're hearing a little bit of real-life F1 news, we, of course, have heard that Zhou Guanyu has been retained by Alfa Romeo, and he will continue driving for the next season, which I would say is quite well earned. I mean, he has been performing spectacularly this season. Well, I wouldn't say spectacularly, but he's been performing well. He's been doing exactly what he's been needing to do. He hasn't had any incredible, outstanding performances, but he hasn't had any horrific ones either. He's been honestly been having a solid rookie season, of course, getting points on debut, and overall just doing quite well. Unfortunately, in this latter half of the season, his performances have been undermined by the fact that the Alfa Romeo car has just kind of fallen apart. And honestly, the same case applies to Mick. Mick, he had a lot of struggle at the start of the season, but honestly, after Canada, something wired in him was different, and he's been doing way better ever since, consistently beating his teammate. And ever since Canada, in terms of points scored, Mick has scored more. And so I do think Mick deserves another year, but Joe absolutely does. He's been performing, again, incredible. And, you know, it's a good thing that he did go to Alfa Romeo because, well, after the whole Alpine Academy fiasco, let's face it, that in itself was evidence that he was never going to get a seat with them. And that's not Joe's fault, it's just the Academy, which I think Alpine is planning to potentially just completely drop after the whole Piastri fiasco. And while, of course, the CEO, Laurent Rossi, is still completely blaming Piastri and everything, even though, like, looking at all the evidence shown, like, I don't blame Piastri for doing what he did. I mean, and they did some pretty horrible stuff, too. I mean, Piastri, he told them, like, 3 times, even before Alonso announced he was moving to Aston Martin, like, months in advance, that he's going to McLaren the next year. And then they have the audacity to say that he's going to be driving for Alpine next season, which is honestly ridiculous. And while he did sign a contract, but then they wrote on extra details after he signed it, which is, well, needless to say, a big no-no. So, yeah, when everything was presented to the CBD to decide, you know, whether Piastri would honor Alpine's deal or the McLaren deal, the choice was pretty obvious considering the overwhelming evidence. But anyways, the safety car is going to be going in this lap. Wolfer's going to be leading them off, but he's going to still have the two Alpines right behind, and then the other two quote-unquote Alpines in 4th and 5th as we get going. Now the question is, can Wolfer jump them well, make a good getaway where Max react well enough to potentially make a move? And that maybe wasn't the greatest of getaways, but that still was solid. Someone who did make a brilliant move there was Zip, as well as Sugi overtaking his teammate. Going into turn 1, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy. I stand corrected. I think we're about to see an overtake attempt by Sketchy, wanting to overtake the Mercedes of Slayer. He won't be able to complete the move, but that skid going in between the both of them, and oh, who was that completely spun out there? That was Envy, who just completely lost it. He's now down to P18. Meanwhile, Wolfer is doing everything he can to make a quick getaway, but Max is not going to let him get out of reach just yet, with Ghostly keeping in very good pace with his teammate. Yeti, honestly, is struggling just a little bit to keep up, is having a bit of a hard time. Meanwhile, Rogue and Pink and Zip are all fighting now for P7. Zip, despite that time penalty, is going to soldier on as quick as he can, trying to get past his teammate here up into 7th. The two are going to go wheel to wheel going into the next turn. But Zip manages to complete the move and get up into 7th. Meanwhile, that is Skid losing a couple places there. Welpdang overtaking Slayer as well. Kermit looking to fight and get back into the points. He's gotten ahead of Sketchy. Now his next target is going to be Sugi. Oh, actually, maybe not just yet, because Sketchy Bull has not given up on this fight just yet. Skid gets a 3-second time penalty now for what I assume is track limit warnings. But Skid is still keeping in this fight, as well as Welpdang just behind. Oh, and that was a massive collision. I think it was between Sugi and Gio. Gio's out of the race, and that, I think, may have triggered another full safety car, if not at least a VSC. It's honestly a little hard to tell, but I don't see any safety car coming out yet, so I think it's just a VSC, but Gio is completely out. I honestly don't know what happened there. And VSC is already over. We're back underway, and looks like Skid and Welpdang are going to go wheel to wheel into the next turn. Skid manages to keep ahead, but we still have a fierce fight in front of him. Looks like that's Sketchy looking to overtake both Sugi and Kermit here. And wow, Sketchy's really trying to stick his car right in there, and he just can't find a way through. These 5 drivers are just battling it out so closely. I'm amazed that hasn't resulted in a collision between any of them. But that's DRS now fully enabled. Skid gets a good run. He's going to try to get on the outside. He bashes into Sketchy Bull, and that probably resulted in some wing damage for Skid. Yeah, I do think he's missing the left end plate of his front wing, but could be mistaken. That was Taylor Boss just completely going to the back of Skid, I think. Fortunately, I wasn't able to tell for certain because the camera angle just completely changed there, but I don't know if that was lag or something, but I think Taylor just completely phased through Skid there. That was a little strange. Oh, that Slayer completely off the track, comes back, and he's now in dead last. Meanwhile, Wolfer has pulled over a second of a getaway, But meanwhile, we have the 4 Alpine drivers looking to get a hold of second at this point, unless Max can get back in range. But not too far behind, we have Henny and Zip battling it out. The two former teammates getting really close here, going to the next turn, and he might look for a chance to cut him back, but Zip is really making use of the soft tires to put himself up into 6th now. Oh, that's Henny making his way into the pits. This seems like an early stop, maybe a little early. So maybe he needed a new front wing? Oh no, this was the strategy call for him. Looks like he's going for a bit of an undercut here. But this tire should absolutely make it to the end, no problem. Again, a little bit early it seems, but it could very well pay off for him. Looks like Skid wanted to go in to get a new front wing and a set of soft tires for a really aggressive strategy. Slayer going in for, I think, the same thing, and a set of hard tires. And that is Zip overtaking Pred to get a hold of 5th place, but Pred is going to fight it back and retake the spot. And while it looks like both of them have DRS here, Pred is doing well to try and keep a hold of 5th place, but Zip is not going to have it because he's going to dive for it into the next turn. He puts himself ahead. Zip is doing the best he can to cut through the field, and he is absolutely achieving that. His next target is going to be the hash of Yeti. He could very well get into the podium spot, but the time penalty is still going to be hurting him by the end. Oh, and looks like he's just lost a little bit of the competition there. Both Ghostly and Yeti have gone in. Slayer has retired. Looks like he may have crashed out, and that's a full safety car that's triggered. A perfect timing for Ghostly and Yeti. Well, now they're going to get very, very free stops. Henny has actually maybe not been put in the best case scenario, but certainly far from the worst. He's essentially going to be about where he started, so that worked out pretty well. Well, drivers are going to have to be a little bit careful going through the S section. Oh, and Skid has gotten another time penalty for speeding the pit lane. But as I was saying, drivers are going to be wanting to be a little careful. The last thing you want to do is collide with the safety car. Of course, the really last thing you want to do is to have the safety car collide with you. If you know, you know. Anyways, Envy is running through. He went in for a set of hard tires along with many others, just taking advantage of a wonderful opportunity presented for them. And you can bet that Ghostly, Max, Prid, and Rogue will do the same once they make their way in. But this safety car may have potentially ruined them because they could lose quite a few spots here. And actually, I think once everybody hits, well, Kermit's going to be able to take a hold of the lead. Now for Zip, he is going to make his way in. Wolver has gotten a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, and he will have no choice but to serve that. History has just repeated itself. He got this exact penalty in this very race last season, and he's gotten it yet again. He cannot catch a break, can he? now Kermit and Wolfgang are in the net lead. However, their tires are a few laps older, and that is going to put them at a disadvantage compared to the others. So, Kermit and Wolfgang are going to have to fight for their lives if they hope to hold on to first and second. Um, that is Wolfgang, who just completely and utterly lost it, and that just lost him any hopes of a podium. He just completely dropped down now into dead last. This has been a disappointing day for Williams. Well, safety car should be coming in this lap, so as long as we're waiting in this last little part, and another little bit of real-life F1 news, McLaren is going for a little special livery for their sponsor OKX that they'll be using in Singapore this weekend and all the way through to Suzuka in Japan. So they're adding where the blue was they have, they're going to be adding purple elements instead, which honestly is kind of fitting because we're going to be going to October and it's Halloween, and of course those colors are orange and purple. But the vibrant blue that they have, just imagine that but replace with purple and a few other little things here and there. But we're going to be getting back underway. Kermit's going to be leading them off. Wolfer right behind, but he's going to have to serve that penalty immediately. So I mean, after that, I mean, it's going to be tough to potentially win the race. He's done it before, though, so it could very well happen. But getting underway, looks like it's going to be a pretty wide spread on the start. But Zip, he's keeping pretty close with Yeti. He could maybe attempt to dive, but chooses better of it and stays behind. Sugi, though, can maybe attempt to dive, but again, chooses to remain behind. Oh, no, he's going to go for it now, perhaps. Looks for an opportunity, but just can't make it happen. Meanwhile, we have the top three. You can see Wolfer right on the heels of Kermit with Ghostly looking for an opportunity himself. Kermit is going to be in a very scary position because Wolfer is going to look for a chance around the outside, diving into turn 11. Can he overtake the AlphaTauri? No, he can't just yet, but he's going to get a good run down the straight. Now it's just a matter of who has more straight line speed. And at the moment, it looks like Kermit has that advantage. Going down into the next turn. The two are relatively even, but that's going to give Kermit a better run and allow him to remain ahead. But now, Wolver is going to have the inside line in the next turn, and that's going to give him an advantage. Still, the two are keeping side by side, but now Wolver has put himself completely ahead of Kermit. Meanwhile, we have Ghostly getting really close. Is he maybe going to attempt to dive here? No, he's not. He's going to remain behind, but he's going to look for a chance now. This is a really aggressive move that he's doing here, but I think it's very well going to pay off, and it does. Ghostly is up now into second place. That was a brilliant overtake by him, but Kermit is going to look for a chance to fight it back here. Looking on the inside of the turn one, Ghostly putting on the pressure, but Kermit is not giving up on it, and he's going to be able to put himself back up into second for only a moment as Ghostly gets a better run on the exit and keeps a hold of second place. In all of this, Max is just kind of stuck watching. He can't really find a way through with those two busy fighting each other. So Max is simply going to have to bide his time, but he's got a very rapid Alfa Romeo and Zipman right behind him. And here we go now, running down the straight zip. He's gotten past Max, and now he's going to look for a chance to get into the podium spots. Looking for a move on the inside. Can he get ahead of the AlphaTauri? The two Alphas going against one another. And wow, Kermit really put the pressure on there, just kind of shoving himself into him. But Zip puts himself ahead into third. Now Max is going to look for an opportunity at long last to get past him and up potentially to where his teammate is, but he's having a bit of a hard time of it. Speaking of a hard time, Ghostly is just struggling to keep up with Wolfer. He's already put himself well out of range and is continuing his getaway. At the same time, we have a few battles going on a little bit further back. Oh, and a massive collision! That is a massive pileup! Sugi is out of the race! Zipman gets a drive-through penalty for a severe collision, and that is another full safety car. And Wolfer actually takes this opportunity to serve his drive-through penalty, and he gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. And honestly, that was a perfect time to serve his drive-through, because that safety car just saved him a few spots. What was that? And now Rogue is off the track. I have no idea what just happened there. Just a massive collision, then I see a car spinning out of nowhere, smash into Sugi, and he's out of the race. Well, that's unfortunate for Zip. That drive-through penalty has just completely and utterly ruined him. He's done now. He could have been on for potentially a podium at the pace that he had, but, well, that hope is just completely gone now. And at this point, it looks like Max is caught in a massive pileup as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a bit of damage. But he's stuck all the way down now in 13th. Now at this point, Ghostly, I think he has a very good shot at winning. Kermit, if he manages to pace well, could get a hold of second place. But he's still going to have Henny and the two Hasses behind. And that's Yeti just completely losing control of his car. And that just cost him a spot. He's now down to 6th. But it looks like Zip and Skid both chose to go in for sets of soft tires. Zip now serving his penalty. Well, he's honestly not in the worst spot in the world. If he can catch up, I think he can still finish in the points. It's all a question, though, whether the soft tires can even make it 10 laps, and I don't know how confident I am on that matter. Well, safety car should hopefully be coming in this lap. It could very well go for another one. But as long as we're here, we're going to be hearing some more real life F1 news. And while I bring you some good news, Alex Albon, after his appendicitis surgery, where he temporarily stopped breathing or something horrifying like that, it's bounced back completely and he's perfectly fine. Uh, I don't know, man. Athletes are built different, but anyways, he will be returning and will be performing in full this weekend. At least that's the plan. Now, he's gonna do FP1, and a lot of people are suspecting if he does FP1 and it just, he can't handle it, then Nick DeVries will be prepped, ready to go to retake that seat. And well, in another little bit of news, but less than news and more so trivia, yesterday was 10 years ago when Mercedes announced that they had signed Lewis Hamilton for 2013, where literally everybody said, "What is he doing? That is a career suicide. He's ending it all. Like his driver career is over. It's done. He's forever gonna be in the midfield." And then his team dominated for the next 8 years. Essentially, after 2014, everybody just kind of stopped talking. And well, at the time, without hindsight anything, Lewis pulling that was a pretty risky move. But then again, I mean, when you make a move like that, because, well, how do I put this? Okay, he did have a very well informed decision for him because when Ross Brawn and Nikki Lauda are telling you, "Hey, you should drive for this team," you do it. Like, I don't know who would ever try to argue with those two. One of the most successful team principals ever. The team principal who literally put together a team from scratch and won a championship in his first and last season. But anyways, we're going to get back underway now. Ghostly's going to lead him off. Kermit is not going to have necessarily the start he wanted. Henny had a bit of a struggle there, and Sketchy Bull might be able to take advantage going into turn one. Kermit, I think, was considering a move going to the turn, but Sketchy is going to dive deep into turn one and puts himself ahead of Henny. That was a brilliant overtake. Wolfer, meanwhile, battling. He spins out, though! Oh, and Wolfer has just lost everything there. That mistake has just cost him any hope of scoring points. I think he could still bounce back, to be honest. Skid is certainly doing his best right now. Wolfer gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting now. Oh, he's got wing damage. Meanwhile, Ghostly's already made a brilliant getaway. He's well over second ahead. Now Sketchy's eyeing up Kermit to take a hold of second place. At the same time, Pink is up to 5th, and well, at this point, as long as he continues at this rate, he's going to get driver of the day because he started at, what, P16? And now he's up to P5 and can very well get a top 5 finish. At the very least, top 6. But meanwhile, we have Skid and Envy going Little Wheel, the two nearly colliding with one another, but Skid gets ahead into 8th. Now Sketchy Bull's going to get a really good run on Kermit. Kermit looking to defend on the outside. Sketchy Bull looking to dive. That was a brilliant fake out by Sketchy Bull. And he's going to be able to get alongside. Wolver gets another time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And he's retired from the race. Kermit and Sketchy Bull still going side by side through the S section, but Kermit is forced to back out there. But now looking to get alongside again. Kermit is just desperate to keep Sketchy Bull behind, but he simply can't do it anymore. Sketchy's now ahead into second. But now Ghostly has gotten a 3-second time penalty. If Sketchy can close the gap, he could take victory, and if Kermit keeps in range, he could take victory. But now he's going to have Henny behind, and Henny's going to get a really good run on him, taking the outside line and taking a little bit of, well, I was going to say DRS, but no, he's just got so much straight line speed, he gets ahead. Kermit's in danger of losing a couple other positions as well, because he's got a car diving on him. That's Yeti just completely smacking into him. Oh, that's unfortunate by Yeti. That was a very overzealous move. Pink, meanwhile, he is holding on to P5, doing very well. And while judging by the helmet style that he has, it's pretty clear to see who his favorite driver is. Unfortunately, said driver is retiring this season, but he will be sorely missed. And what happened to Ghostly spun out? I legitimately do not know what is going to happen next. If someone knows a fortune teller or a tarot card reader or something, I would really like to know what happens, because at this point I have no idea. I'm usually able to at least somewhat predict what will happen, but at this point, literally anything could happen, and I would not be surprised. And before I get surprised by something later. Anyways, Pink is running after Kermit, looking to get into the podium places. And this isn't good for Kermit, because the more he fights, the more of the gap he loses to the leader, and the more that chance of victory slips away. But Pink is going to get a very, very nice run here. And he's going to have a very nice dough. Yeah, look at that. And he's got DRS as well. It's going to be enough to put himself alongside. Inside or outside, he's going to choose the inside line. Going into the turn, he puts himself ahead of Kermit into 3rd place. Meanwhile, we have Yeti starting to catch up with Kermit as well. I don't know if Kermit's really struggling with just worn tires, or if he has damage or something, but Yeti's already catching up very quickly. And that's Ghostly going into the pits. I think he may have gotten wing damage. Rogue is going to stay out. Meanwhile, Fred is looking to get pretty close to Envy and perhaps make a move on him soon. And here we go now. Yeti is within range of Kermit. Kermit is in danger of losing yet another spot. And again, the more spots he loses, the more that chance of victory is slipping away. But at this point, he honestly is already out of range of Sketchy Bull. But he could still potentially get on the podium unless unless Yeti finds a way through. And Yeti is showing a whole lot of pace here, and Kermit just lost that DRS distance he sorely needs to keep Yeti behind. So I don't know if he's going to be able to hold it for long. At this point, I think we could very well see both Alpines on the podium. Maybe, well, not both Alpines, both Hassens on the podium. Potentially even a 1-2 for the team. Here we go now, up into turn 1. Can Yeti get close enough to make a move? No, he won't. He's going to have to remain behind, but as long as he keeps this close, we'll have a terrific run going down the back straight. And you can see Taylor Paul's doing his best to keep up with Max, but Welting is keeping decently close, but just lost range. Envy keeping close behind him. Speaking of close behind, Yeti's going to get ready to overtake Hermit here. Sorry about that. Had a false sneeze there. Ghostly's gotten a 3-second time penalty. And Yeti, is he really going to attempt to move here? No, he's not. He's going to remain behind. Well, actually, after that collision that Yeti had earlier, kind of hitting Kermit after that massive dive bomb at that turn, he could very well get penalized for that if an incident report is submitted. And now more penalties are just stacking up. And now this is pretty much, oh, someone has lost it. Wolfgang has lost the car. Now he's down into 11th place. Meanwhile, this is Yeti's best chance to attempt to move yet, but he's still going to be stuck behind. And with this, he's just losing more and more time. And the more the chances of a podium are just slipping away. Ghostly's now set the fastest lap of the race, but he's still a little bit far behind, so he won't be able to get any points, but he just stole a point from one of the top 10. Now this is Yeti's best chance he could possibly get. He's going to have to go for a dive, and he's going to go deep on the inside, and the two bang wheels with one another. Yeti now looking to switch it back on the outside. Kermit really giving him pressure. Yeti doing the same. The two nearly colliding with one another. It's going to be close here, but Yeti, I think, finally got the edge he needed to put himself ahead. Kermit still keeping as close as he can, but Yeti has fully completed the move. Oh, and immediately after, Kermit just completely lost the car. And I imagine that's just tire wear severely impacting him at this point. I mean, those tires are 19 laps old, the oldest set on the grid. And so he's definitely going to be feeling the burn of those tires. Meanwhile, due to all of that fighting, Yeti has lost a ton of time to the cars in front. If he can gain just a few tenths in the next couple laps, he could get back onto the podium. Now we have Frey catching up to Envy, barely keeping within range, but Envy is getting a little bit close to Taylor Boss as well. Still the two of them have time penalties, so I think Taylor is in a pretty safe spot. Meanwhile, Yeti, he's nearly within that range that he needs to get a hold of a podium spot. He just needs just a couple more tenths and he's got it. Kill flag considered 2 and 3. That's Zip, who has spun out on soft tires that are probably quite worn by now. Oh, you are on the penultimate lap, so this next part is going to be exceedingly important, especially for the likes of Yeti, if he can just get within range. And Skin has gotten another time penalty for himself, and that's going to do any favors at this point. Well, he's out of the points. He's just too far back. Rogue, though, as long as he keeps in range, could bump himself up into 7th place, and that could be a few points for Alfa Romeo. Zip gets a time penalty now. Meanwhile, Yeti's doing his best to keep it in that range, but Pink, I think, very well could have gotten a hold of DRS. If he does, then that's going to be doom for Yeti. And he just needs to close that gap as much as he can, burn everything that he has left, and that's exactly what he's doing. You can see Ping is doing everything he can to try and keep within range. If he can just get a hold of DRS, then he can keep the podium. And I think he has managed to pull that off, and he's gotten a hold of DRS. And it's so that allowed him to pull away enough to keep the podium. Yep, and actually, with the penalties here, Pink could very well be in enough range to take victory. If Pink manages to get just a little bit closer, he could keep it, but he's got a time penalty of his own. So this is going to be very, very close here. But I think the gap is just a little bit too far now. Unfortunately, Pink won't be able to take victory, but taking victory at his team's home race is going to be Sketchy in the Haas winning the United States Grand Prix. Henny, after the penalties, is going to have to settle for 3rd, with Pink taking 2nd. And actually, wait, more penalties have been added, and that puts it as a Haas 1-2. An incredible sight for the team. The two Hasses of Sketchy and Yeti taking a 1-2 at their team's home race here at the Circuit of the Americas. Meanwhile, we have Pink on the podium, Henny 4th, Max 5th, Taylor 6th in his broken car across the line, Rogue 7th, Pred 8th, Kermit 9th, and Envy running out the points placers with Skid, Welton, Ghostly, and Zip running out the finishing drivers. Well, one thing's for sure, the team principal of Haas is pleased, to say the least. He is very, very happy with how that turned out. I mean, a 1-2 at a home race is about the best you can ask for. You know, and it's very hard to do. Sorry. Anyways, that was a brilliant performance by both the Haas drivers, taking a well-earned 1-2 with Pink, the other driver, on the podium. And well, considering that he is American, it's just a full American group as the top three. And that's going to be the end of the United States Grand Prix. That was an incredible, if chaotic, race, to say the least. I think we can lean more towards chaotic, especially with that massive pileup that we witnessed. Still, it'll be interesting to see how the championship continues to go as we enter the final quarter of the season, where we head next week to technically the shortest circuit on the entire calendar. Well, maybe not the shortest, but it's up there. We're going to be heading to, well, we're at Haas's home race. We're now going to be going to Red Bull's home race, the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria, for a sprint race. We'll be seeing you all then. I've been Mark Page, and I'll be seeing you all next time.